Rio Ferdinand drops transfer bombshell. Forget Sesko, United must break the bank for Brighton star. Welcome back to United News, where we bring you the transfer insights that matter most to Manchester United fans. While other outlets speculate and guess, we deliver the facts and expert opinions that help you understand what's really happening at Old Trafford. Today, we have explosive comments from United legend Rio Ferdinand that could completely change how you think about the club's transfer priorities. Imagine you're building a house and you need to choose between expensive decorations or a solid foundation. Rio Ferdinand has just told Manchester United they're focusing on the wrong thing entirely. His message is clear. Forget about flashy strikers and invest in the midfield engine that could transform the entire team. Ferdinand's shock transfer advice. Rio Ferdinand has never been one to hold back his opinions, and his latest comments about Manchester United's transfer strategy are no different. The former United captain has urged the club to avoid what he sees as a costly mistake with Benjamin Sesko and instead break the bank for Brighton's Carlos Baleba. But why is Ferdinand so against the Sesko move? His reasoning is actually quite simple and makes a lot of sense when you think about it. United already have young strikers in Rasmus Højlund, Josh Zirkzee, and Cheeto Obi Martin. Adding another inexperienced forward like Sesko would just create more of the same problem. I think you've got to look at the here and now at the moment with Man United, Ferdinand explained on his YouTube channel. They've got Højlund, they've got Zirkzee, they've got Cheeto. Young, inexperienced players. They need someone to look at and go, that's how you play as a number 9. Ferdinand's point is spot on. What's the point of having 4 young strikers who are all learning their trade? United need leadership up front, not more potential. They need someone who can show these young players how to perform at the highest level week in and week out. The former England defender went even further, suggesting that if United can't get an experienced striker, they should focus their money elsewhere entirely. And that's where Carlos Baleba comes into the picture. Why Baleba could be the missing piece. When Ferdinand talks about Carlos Baleba, you can hear the excitement in his voice. He genuinely believes the Brighton midfielder could transform United's entire approach to the game. But what makes Baleba so special? There's only one name I'm thinking about who I think fits the bill for what we need, Ferdinand said. An Amorim-type player as well. Physically great, can drive with the ball, can take it in all areas. Very good tactically, great energy, great legs, Premier League experience, center midfield. Baleba. Let's break down what Ferdinand is seeing here. First, Baleba has Premier League experience. That might not sound like much, but it's actually huge. The English top flight is unlike any other league in the world, and players who have already proven they can handle the pace and physicality have a massive advantage. Second, Baleba fits perfectly into Ruben Amorim's system. The Portuguese manager loves midfielders who can do everything, defend, attack, drive forward with the ball, and make intelligent decisions under pressure. Baleba ticks all these boxes and more. Third, and perhaps most importantly, Baleba would solve multiple problems at once. United's midfield has lacked that dynamic, box-to-box presence for years. Someone who can win the ball back, carry it forward, and create chances for others. Baleba could be that player. Ferdinand clearly believes this so strongly that he's willing to sacrifice the striker signing entirely. Would I get a number 9? I'm not sure about. Who's a bit young, inexperienced, or would I get Baleba with Premier League experience and know what he can do here? I'm going Baleba. Sorry. The Baleba factor. What makes him special? Carlos Baleba joined Brighton for £26 million in 2023. And since then he's been quietly building a reputation as one of the most complete midfielders in the Premier League. The 20-year-old Cameroon international made 34 Premier League appearances last season, showing exactly the kind of consistency that Ferdinand values. But what's really impressive about Baleba is his all-round game. He's not just a defensive midfielder who sits and breaks up play. He's not just an attacking midfielder who only thinks about going forward. He's a complete player who can contribute in every phase of the game. Brighton have always been excellent at developing young talent, and Baleba is perhaps their greatest success story in recent years. The fact that he effectively replaced Moises Caicedo, who went on to join Chelsea for over £100 million, tells you everything you need to know about his quality. Sources suggest Brighton could demand between 80 and 100 million pounds for Baleba, which shows just how highly they rate him. That's serious money, but Ferdinand believes it would be money well spent. I think he'll have a huge impact on this squad. On this team, Ferdinand explained. You free up a few people in that midfield area as well to have a little less responsibility defensively because I think he's all action. He can do it all. Why Ferdinand's logic makes perfect sense. When you step back and look at United's current squad, Ferdinand's reasoning becomes crystal clear. The club has spent years focusing on attacking signings while neglecting the foundations of the team. They've bought wingers, strikers, and attacking midfielders, but they've never really addressed the core midfield issues. Think about United's best teams under Sir Alex Ferguson. They always had that solid midfield base: Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick. Players who could control games, dictate tempo, and provide the platform for others to shine. United haven't had that kind of player for years. Baleba could be the answer to this problem. He has the physical attributes to handle the Premier League, the technical skills to play in Amorim's system, and the mentality to thrive at a big club. Most importantly, he's already proven he can perform at this level. Compare that to Benjamin Sesko, who's undoubtedly talented but remains unproven in the Premier League. Yes, he's had success in Germany, but the English game is completely different. There's no guarantee he would adapt quickly, and United can't afford another expensive experiment that doesn't work out. Ferdinand's preference for experience over potential makes complete sense when you consider United's recent transfer history. How many young, promising players have they signed who never quite lived up to expectations? At some point, you have to learn from past mistakes. Amorim's comments add another layer. Interestingly, Ruben Amorim's recent comments suggest he might actually agree with Ferdinand's thinking, at least partially. The United manager indicated he could start the season without signing a new striker, saying he would be happy to rely on his current options. They can play as a striker. We have Josh and Rasmus. The focus is to improve the connection between them, Amorim explained. I don't know if the position is there for them. They have to work. This suggests Amorim isn't desperately pushing for a new striker signing. He seems confident that Mbeumo and Cunha, along with Højlund and Xerxes, can provide enough options up front. If that's the case, then Ferdinand's argument for focusing on midfield becomes even stronger. Why spend 70 or 80 million pounds on another young striker when the manager is happy with what he has? That money could be much better spent on a player like Baleba who would genuinely transform how the team plays. The Brighton connection. A smart target. One thing that makes Baleba an even more attractive target is Brighton's track record of developing players. The Seagulls have become masters at finding rough diamonds and polishing them into Premier League gems. When they rate a player as highly as they rate Baleba, it's worth paying attention. Brighton aren't a selling club in the traditional sense, but they do have a business model that involves developing players and eventually selling them for significant profits. They did it with Caicedo, they've done it with others, and they could do it with Baleba if the right offer comes along. The key is making that offer big enough that Brighton can't refuse. Ferdinand's suggestion to break the bank might sound extreme, but it could be exactly what's needed to get this deal done. Liverpool have also shown interest in Baleba, which should tell United everything they need to know about his quality. The Reds have one of the best recruitment teams in world football, and they don't waste time on average players. The risk versus reward calculation. Every big transfer involves risk, and signing Baleba for 80 to 100 million pounds would certainly be a gamble. But when you compare the potential risks and rewards, Ferdinand's logic becomes even clearer. With Sesko, you're taking a risk on a young striker who's never played in the Premier League and might need time to adapt. He could turn out to be brilliant, but he could just as easily struggle with the pace and physicality of English football. With Baleba, you're signing a player who's already proven he can handle the Premier League. Yes, he's young, but he's shown maturity beyond his years and has the kind of attributes that translate well to any system. The reward potential is also higher with Baleba. A truly world-class midfielder can transform an entire team in a way that even a great striker can't. Look at what players like Kevin De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes bring to their teams. They don't just score goals, they make everyone around them better. What this means for United's transfer strategy. If United were to follow Ferdinand's advice and prioritize Baleba over Sesko, it would represent a significant shift in their transfer thinking. For years, the club has been obsessed with big-name attacking signings while neglecting other areas of the pitch. Signing Baleba would show that United are finally learning to build from the foundation up rather than just adding decorations to a shaky structure. It would demonstrate that they understand football is a team game where every position matters. It would also show trust in Amorim's ability to get the best out of the strikers he already has. The Portuguese manager has a track record of improving players, and maybe what Højlund and Xerxes need is better service from midfield rather than more competition up front. The financial reality. Of course, any discussion about signing Baleba has to include the financial reality. Brighton's asking price of £80 to £100 million is enormous, even by modern standards. That's the kind of money that could transform multiple areas of the squad if spent differently. But Ferdinand's argument is that some players are worth that kind of investment. If Baleba really is the missing piece that could unlock United's potential, then the money becomes secondary. The club has wasted far more than £100 million on players who didn't work out. The key is being absolutely certain that Baleba is the right player. United can't afford another expensive mistake, so they would need to do their homework thoroughly before making any approach. Looking at the bigger picture, Ferdinand's comments about Baleba highlight a broader issue with United's transfer strategy over the past decade. The club has consistently focused on big names and exciting signings, rather than addressing fundamental weaknesses in the squad. How many times have United signed attacking players while ignoring defensive problems? How often have they bought wingers when they needed central midfielders? This short-term thinking has contributed to their struggles in recent years. Signing Baleba would represent a return to more strategic thinking. It would show that United are willing to prioritize what the team needs over what would generate the most excitement among fans and media. The final verdict. Rio Ferdinand's advice to Manchester United is clear, logical, and potentially game-changing. His argument for prioritizing Carlos Baleba over Benjamin Sesko makes perfect sense when you consider United's current squad makeup and long-term needs. United have enough young attacking players who are still learning their trade. What they lack is that dynamic, experienced midfielder who can control games and provide the platform for others to succeed. Baleba could be exactly that player. The price tag would be enormous, but sometimes you have to spend big to get the right player. If United believe Baleba is the missing piece in their puzzle, then Ferdinand's advice to break the bank could be the smartest thing they've heard all summer. Whether United will actually follow this advice remains to be seen. The club has a history of making decisions based on commercial appeal rather than football logic. But if they're serious about competing at the highest level again, they should listen carefully to what one of their greatest ever defenders is telling them. Ferdinand knows what it takes to win at Manchester United. His advice comes from years of experience at the highest level and a deep understanding of what makes great teams tick. United would be wise to take his words seriously. As always, stay tuned to United News for all the latest developments in Manchester United's transfer window. We'll continue to bring you the expert analysis and insider knowledge that helps you understand what's really happening at your club. When it comes to United transfer news, we remain your most trusted source.